I got a very valid question the other day, which is like, what is the bare minimum, like the basics of what I need to do a pedicure? And that's like only 2 to 3 products. So let's get into it. First and foremost is a cuticle pusher. The cuticle is like a layer of what I call double-sided tape because it attaches to your nail. And as long as the skin is moisturized, you can't even see it. And just like tape, it's basically clear. But if your feet look anything like mine, then you know that it becomes very visible once the skin is very dehydrated. So an easy way to get ahead of that is just to moisturize your skin when you get out of the shower. And if the cuticle lifts anyway, using a cuticle pusher every couple of days will help it kind of exfoliate itself off. And I highly recommend that you get a cuticle pusher that has some type of instrument on the other side that's kind of like a curette, a spoon, or just pointed so that you can also get underneath the free edge and clean out any buildup. Because I guarantee you get toe jam. And if you really want to be extra, because this is optional, you can get a ingrown toenail remover. Because as you can see, this is teeth, which means it's just even more effective. Not to mention if you actually do get ingrowns, then of course this will be useful. But if it doesn't exfoliate on its own, then that's where your cuticle nippers are going to come in handy. Again, this is totally optional. Cutting is not a requirement. So no, you don't have to do it. But if you feel like you never get your nails to a point where they look really polished, it could be excess skin. Number 2 is just a nail file, and you'll see that I have an assortment because having different grits can be useful based on what you need them for. If you have really thick toenails, then you might go for something like this number 3 file, and then I also have a number 6, which is really high grit and not necessarily suitable for your natural nails, but it is for enhancements. So if you have gel or acrylic or polygel, or if your nail is just much longer than you want it to be, that's where a high grit file comes in handy. And speaking of files, the last requirement is some type of foot file. And if you're new to this channel, then this is my holy grail. I've been using them for years, literal years, the same file. So even though it's an initial investment, that investment is covering the cost of not having to replace it ever again. And we all got a budget, so if you do want a more affordable option than this, recently I discovered this glass file. This I also highly recommend. I get a lot of callus because of the way that I walk. So just like with the cuticle pusher, use this every couple of days after you get out of the shower, and your feet will always, and I do mean always, be soft. And you're probably like, girl, why do it look like that? But actually, that's the point, because today I'm going to actually answer a question that I have gotten before, which is how to actually clean your tools, or how I do it. Because as you can see, even the things that didn't look atrocious, close up are quite the opposite. So in order to do that, first things first, we're going to put on a pot of hot water. And also, if you're looking for any of these things that I use in the video, they are linked on my blog, which I use Squarespace to run it. Also use it to create like a mobile site to go into the description box of all of my social media platforms. It's been well over a year now, and sis pays her own coin, so you know it's real. And I feel like that's been well spent because they've been coming out with a lot of new features and products recently, which come in clutch. One of which is their new members area. So you can create exclusive members only content, which I haven't like dug deep into. Y'all know how I feel about education. It should be free. But if you guys are interested, let me know, because I mean, it's definitely a way to build a community that is a little bit more intimate, because when you're just posting it like this, it does welcome interactions that are uninvited. Case in point, I'm talking about my feet on the internet, and that gets people a little spicy. But if you are interested in signing up for Squarespace, you can get 10% off with my code. Just head to squarespace.com/abetweene. So as promised, those are the only 2 to 3 products that you need to keep up with your foot care. So to clean these tools, all I do is use some hot soapy water. In this container, I actually have Castile soap, so I'm just using some Dr. Bronner's. You could also use something like maybe antibacterial soap. My nail brush is MIA. I'm using this toothbrush, but really you want to go for something with pretty coarse or hard bristles, because I really want to be able to get into that diamond nail file. But if you're using, for example, that glass file, then something with a softer bristle is absolutely fine. And when it comes to my cuticle nippers, do you guys see how these arms are just really flexible? This should not be loose like this. So what I'll do periodically when I'm cleaning these, if I notice something like that, doing maintenance on it, like tightening these screws. And also normally I don't just let these sit in water, but for filming purposes, they were there and I was gonna rinse them anyway. So I'm gonna pour over the remainder of my boiling water. Then I'm also gonna give these a secondary rinse. And it's also at this time that I would put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on my cloth and just wipe down the handles. And if you do have these files specifically, then do make sure that you kind of blot any water droplets that's sitting on them, because besides the fact that I use them on damp skin occasionally, these are meant to be used dry. So you do want to try and keep them that way. And avoid letting any water just sit stagnant. And even though it's not technically on this list, because I'm assuming it's something you're gonna do anyway, don't forget to moisturize. So although I would recommend a cuticle oil, what that really means is just any oil, and you don't even have to get fancy with it. Personally, I like jojoba oil, but some olive oil or avocado oil or whatever oil you have in your kitchen is just fine. And that's it. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more.